You open the cupboard at night and stand there like the shelf has personally offended you. Not because you are hungry, because your hand already knows the route. It goes there before the rest of you has even entered the room. That is the annoying part. The habit is not a thought you keep having. It is a path your body has been walking in the dark. And then you do the little performance with yourself. You look at the thing. You promise this is the last time. You make the promise in the same tone people use for weather. Casual, hopelessly casual. The habit does not care. It has heard this speech before. It is basically a landlord. That is the whole trap, really. A bad habit does not stay because it is strong. It stays because it fits. It has found the shape of your day, the shape of your room, the shape of the 5 seconds when you are tired and nobody is asking anything difficult of you. Which is why quitting feels so embarrassing. You think you are fighting desire, but a lot of the time you are just trying to outshout your own surroundings. Good luck with that. The room has been practicing longer. There is a study from the University of Southern California that makes this almost rude in how plain it is. Researchers Neal and Wood gave 98 moviegoers fresh popcorn or stale popcorn at a cinema. People with a strong movie popcorn habit ate just as much stale popcorn as fresh popcorn, but only inside the cinema. Not because stale popcorn became delicious in the dark, because the room did the work. The cinema said apparently this is what we do here. That is a tiny humiliation, also extremely useful. It means the habit is not glued to the pleasure, it is glued to the place. The taste matters less than the cue. The mind loves this little loophole, because it can keep pretending the problem is the food, the drink, the scrolling, the smoking, the whatever. It is cleaner to blame the thing than the room that keeps handing you the thing on a silver tray. You see this everywhere once you notice it. The desk chair that turns your afternoon into a long, silent negotiation with a tab you should have closed an hour ago. The couch that makes one episode become 4 and then somehow 11, which is a very efficient trick for a piece of furniture. The car that turns every drive home into the same stop, the same shop, the same bag, the same tiny private defeat. Not because you chose all of it carefully, because the route already exists, and that is why people get offended by simple advice. They hear just stop and feel insulted on behalf of their own brain. Fair enough. It is a little like telling a fish to improve its relationship with water. The issue is not that the fish lacks insight. The issue is that the fish is still in the water. That part matters. A lot of behavior change advice pretends the person is the only moving part, as if willpower is a person standing in an empty white room, flexing. Very cinematic, very useless. In real life, you are a person inside a pattern of doors, light switches, chairs, routes, drawers, notifications, and times of day. The behavior is not random, it is assisted, which means the first mistake is moralizing it. Once you call it weakness, you stop looking at the setup. Then the same old environment keeps winning on home field and you act surprised every time, as if the mousetrap should have developed character. I did this last week with a bag of snack food I absolutely did not need. I left it in the same cabinet I open when I'm cooking. Then, at the exact wrong moment, I reached for it without thinking and told myself it was just a little. That phrase, very elegant, very stupid. The thing is, if the cue is still there, the habit is still getting mail. Researchers at the University of Bath looked at this in a field experiment with 800 people. The behavior change push worked far better on those who had recently moved home than on those who had not. Break the context, and the door opens. Same person, new room, new rules. The person did not become a different species. The room stopped whispering the old script into their ear every 10 minutes. That should make everyone slightly uncomfortable, because it means your habits are often less loyal to your identity than to your geography. The self-help world hates that. It prefers dramatic inward battles, noble, exhausting, and conveniently sellable. But a lot of your personality is just repetition in the same places. Move the place, and the behavior starts wobbling. Leave the place alone and you keep asking the same brittle human being to perform a miracle at the same exact corner of the day. That is not discipline. That is bad staging. And of course, people hate this because changing the room sounds too simple, too cheap. It is not emotionally satisfying enough. There is no thunderclap, no heroic montage. You just put the cigarettes in a different drawer. You put the chips on the highest shelf. You stop keeping the charger next to the bed if the bed is where the doom scrolling happens, which is a sentence that should embarrass everyone involved, including the phone. Small shifts, though. That is where the thing breaks, because bad habits are rarely huge dramatic acts. They are often extremely boring. A glass of something after dinner, a quick check, a late night detour, a while I'm here purchase that somehow grows legs and walks home with you. The habit survives by being unremarkable. If it were theatrical, you would notice it. Instead, it hides inside routine like a raccoon in a coat closet. And this is where the usual story about self-control starts to fall apart. You're told that the strongest people resist hardest. They stare down temptation like a cowboy in a dusty street. Nice image, not true. Researchers Gala and Duckworth at the University of Pennsylvania looked across 6 studies with 2,274 people and found that the people with the best self-control were not the ones resisting hardest. They had made the behavior automatic, so there was nothing left to resist. Willpower was not the muscle. It was the setup. That is the line people hate because it takes the glamour out of self-control. It says the answer is not to become an iron statue. It is to stop putting yourself in rooms where the statue gets kicked over every Thursday. And yes, that sounds less inspiring. It is also more humane. Constant resistance is not a virtue. It is often a sign that the system is poorly designed. A leaky bucket is not morally superior because you keep carrying water faster. You might just need a bucket without the hole. Revolutionary, I know. This is also why some people feel like they have no willpower when what they really have is a house full of behavioral trapdoors. They wake up to a phone on the bedside table, walk into a kitchen that has been arranged like a temptation museum, sit at a desk where every break turns into a scroll, and then wonder why they keep losing. That is not a character flaw. That is a hostile layout. The weird part is that the habit often protects itself by becoming part of the identity. You say, this is just me. I always do this at night. I am the kind of person who... That sentence is doing a lot of work, most of it cheap. It turns a repeated pattern into a personality trait so you do not have to look at the room. Very efficient. Also very lazy, which is basically the unofficial motto of half our brains. Once you see the pattern, you start noticing how many habits are tied to transitions. Not the whole day, the cracks between things. The moment after work, the moment before bed. The moment you walk through the front door and your brain goes, okay, now we return to the tiny ritual economy. That is where the old behavior lives. In the transition, in the unguarded inch. Which is why just decide never works for long. Decisions are bright for about 12 seconds. Then life resumes being life. The mail comes in, the kids need something, the train is late, the email is rude. And the old groove is still there with all the charm of a puddle in your hallway. So you do not fight the groove head on. You make a different groove. Not a speech, not a life overhaul, a replacement that is specific enough to survive contact with your actual day. If the habit lives in the kitchen, change what waits in the kitchen. If it lives on the couch, make the couch slightly less available to the old behavior. Put the thing you want closer than the thing you do not want. Not in theory. In the real room, with the real drawer. At the real time when your brain becomes a golden retriever with keys. That is where the boring solution hides. Boring is often where the useful things live. Build the new cue. Put the paperback where the snack used to be. Put the water bottle where the soda used to sit. Put the running shoes by the door if you want the walk to happen before the day has a chance to put on its boots. You're not trying to become a different soul. You're trying to make the first step cheaper than the old one. And yes, there is a little dignity loss in admitting this. It means your better self may need choreography. Fine, most good behavior does. People like to imagine virtue is spontaneous, but a lot of it is just arrangement. A chair in the right place, a phone in the other room, a packet of almonds, which is an uncool sentence, but here we are. The important thing is that the replacement has to arrive where the habit used to live, not in a vague promise later. Later is where habits go to be cremated. The new thing has to stand in the old doorway and be ready when the cue shows up wearing the same coat as yesterday. That is why moving home can be so strange. The geography does half the work without asking permission. New kitchen, different walk, different corner store, different route to the bathroom in the middle of the night. The old chain of cues breaks just enough to let another chain form. It is not mystical, it is not fate. It is just the brain being very, very fond of shortcuts and very reluctant to draw a new map unless the old one gets inconvenient. And inconvenient is the word. Not painful, not heroic, inconvenient. If the old habit is 1 drawer away and the new habit is 3 rooms away, guess what wins at 11:43 at night? The thing that requires less standing up. Human nature, unfortunately, loves a seated solution. This is also why people relapse and then immediately turn the relapse into a confession about their worth. They say, I blew it, so I'm back at 0. No, you went back to the old arrangement. That is a different sentence. A much less dramatic sentence, probably the true one. The surrounding world stayed the same, so your behavior went back to the shape it already knew. Not a verdict, a design problem. And once you accept that, you stop asking your brain to perform surgery with a spoon. You start by making the old action mildly annoying. Put the thing in a harder place. Add 1 step, remove 1 branch of the decision tree. That is usually enough to expose how automatic the habit really is. Because if it collapses the moment you make it slightly less convenient, then it was never a majestic battle between good and evil. It was just the easiest button in the room, which is almost funny if you can stand the insult. So much of our inner life reduced to buttons. But there it is, The brain is not always looking for truth. Sometimes it is just looking for the nearest button with a label on it. That also explains why sheer motivation can feel so theatrical and then vanish without notice. Motivation is useful, but it is not storage. You cannot keep it in a jar on the counter and expect it to rescue you on Thursday. The environment rescues you, or ruins you, depending on how you set it up. That is the part people keep missing because it sounds too practical to be profound. And yet practical is the whole point. If the habit is loyal to place, then your job is not to become a monk in a thunderstorm. Your job is to change the stage so the old line no longer comes naturally. Different drawer, different route, different object in reach, different default. A little annoying, a little plain, extremely effective. The funny thing is that once the new thing starts to repeat, it begins doing the same dirty work the old habit did. It gets easier, it gets automatic, it stops needing a speech. That is not failure, that is the goal. You are not trying to become endlessly disciplined. You are trying to stop needing discipline for this one thing. So the real question is not whether you want to quit. Of course you do, or at least the part of you that says so at midnight does. The real issue is whether your surroundings are still arranged to make the old choice feel like the obvious one. If they are, then every night becomes a little referendum on your character, which is a ridiculous way to live. Change the setup and the habit starts losing its grip in a way your self-control never quite managed. Not because you became stronger, because you stopped asking the same room to host two incompatible versions of you. You can hear that when you stand there with your hand already on the cupboard handle, still making the same promise to yourself, while the room waits to see which version walks out.